Isn't it exhilarating to think about tapping into the power of the universe? And do you understand that you already harnessed some of it or you wouldn't be at all? Can you feel that it was that power that got you here? Are you beginning to feel the reality of your vibrational escrow? Can you feel its relationship to you? And can you feel how you must, if not be there, and you can't really be fully there because it expands rapidly every day, can you feel how moving in the direction of it is the only thing that matters? Moving toward your vibrational escrow. And everything else is just going through the motions. You ever called someone about something that was important to you, and as you talk to them, you can just hear they're going through the motions and nothing's going to happen from this conversation? In other words, it's sort of like blah, 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 blah. Really good words, really, really wonderful words, but nothing behind them. And that's the way so much of your action is. Hard action, deliberate action, a lot of words, a lot of planning, a lot of goal setting, a lot of doing, but minus the component of being in alignment with the vibration of who you really are. Not much happens, and that is at the heart of your frustration. Your frustration isn't because you're not getting the things you want. Your frustration is that you're not being who you are.
I am a real estate agent, and in 2006, 2007, I was telling my buyers, let's not buy, let's wait. I think prices will come down. And that was providing a service because it's happened. Of course, I also feel like it's not very optimistic to predict something like that. I don't feel like I have an effect on the great picture. But I have always been an optimistic person, and it's gotten me through a lot in my life. So the whole subprime mortgage thing is, to me, just a microcosm of a bigger problem in the federal budget and the economy of the world at large. And I don't want to be pessimistic, but I'm fascinated with it. I'm learning about it. The books on my side of the bed have words like catastrophe in the title, and the books on my partner's side of the bed have words like power of your emotions, and you know, you can
Well, you might want to crawl over onto your partner's side of the bed.
I have frequently, but
Or maybe a catastrophe will come and just knock all those books away.
right.
But you are the creator of your own experience. You gave us something here. It's interesting because there are so many things that so many of you do that are logical, but that disempower you in the process. For example, anyone who's paying attention to what's going on could logically feel reason for concern. But if you step back and look at a longer range picture, then you realize that there have always been ups and downs, but that improvement has always been the steady path. In other words, there have always been those gloom and doom people who are pointing out this red hot minute of trouble. And we call those step oneers, meaning that they are in that moment just contributing massively to a vibrational escrow of improvement, because the more they fret and worry and focus upon what is not wanted, the more they project preferences and desires and improvement. You just can't be sick without adding to wellness. You just can't not have enough of something without asking for more of it, you see. And so they're contributing in that way. You just have to ask yourself, am I going to contribute to beat the drum to add to the power of what's coming, or is it time for me to accept that the vibrational escrow is big enough and now I want to read the books and think the thoughts that line me up with the receiving? Your logic tells you that there have always been those who have thrived enormously in the worst of times. And there have always been those who suffered dramatically in the best of times. And we acknowledge we want the times to be good. It's nice when people are thriving. It's nice when you can just observe something and by your observation of it, promote more of it and then by your observation of it, just promote more of it. But there's not much deliberate creating in that. You didn't come forth just to observe and continue and observe and continue. You didn't come forth as a creator of continued what-isness. You came forth as a creator of that which is new, you see. And that's why you were eager about contrast. And really, we want to say to you, the greater the contrast, the greater the expansion. It's easier to manage your gap if you want a little and catch up with it and want a little and catch up with it. It's harder to really want something and be really far away from it because it's more difficult to find the vibrational attitude of that which is over here when you've been practicing what's over here. But in any event, you can do it, you see. So you just have to decide which side of the bed you're sleeping on, so to speak. You just have to decide which part of this economic game that you want to play. And it takes some strength to pull yourself up in separation from the reality that seems to be predominant. But when you look around, you have to see that it's always that way about all things. There are always those who really excel and those that sort of kind of do and those that don't at all. There are those who thrive and those that don't. It's all about the vibrational balance that is going on within the individual. So we're talking about beyond a world economy. We know that future generations will be dramatically enhanced by what's going on in your world right here and now. We just don't think you should have to wait to croak and come back as part of a future generation to reap the benefit of what you're living right here and now. You can move to vibrational alignment with the simple, simple, simple act. In fact, it's so simple that most people think it's too simple to be real. The simple act of telling the story the way you want it to be until you believe it, until it becomes your expectation. So you could tell the story to your clients or to yourself that these are really the best of times, not the worst of times, and that wonderful things are coming as a result of it. You could tell them that you are intuitive and they are too, and that you know what to do and when to do it. You could tell them that everything's going to be all right and mean it. And when you start telling that story, your clientele will begin shifting. In other words, those that are frightened and afraid and those that you can't convince to do the right thing even when you know it's the right thing for them to do because they're so caught up in their own quagmire. When you start beating the drum of your true story of what's really going on in your global economy, in your universal economy, in your vibrational escrow, when you start telling that story until it is emanating from you, from every fiber of your being, what happens is people that match your story start flooding into your experience, and you start making deals that work for everybody that's coming into your arena. What's happening to you or to anyone does not have anything to do with a world environment. It's only about the relationship between what's in their vibrational escrow and where they see it. You are as many different worlds as you are perceivers of what's going on. This is not a world economy. It's not one economy. It's an economy that's made up of a whole bunch of people with their own vibrational gaps. And that's why there are thrivers and not thrivers. That's why there are sick and there are well. In other words, you can play the game however you choose. You just got to pull yourself away from the consistent thought of what's going on with the most. The media and so much that's given to you, it's such an interesting thing. If you were even given a fair view of what's going on worldwide, your evening news or even what's going on your news channels, you'd have the television on and you'd see something go across the screen. Zzz! You'd say, what was that? And you say, well, that's all of the bad things that happened all over the world today. Zzz! That's it, in comparison with what's going on. But instead, it drones on and on and on and on. They take their cameras with the intention of going to the pockets, and they find the things that are worst that they can find, and they teach them what to say, and they incite the environment, and then they put dramatic music behind it, and then they force feed it into your living rooms, and they tell you the lie that the world is getting worse when it isn't true. The world is getting better. It is not possible to regress. You cannot become less. You cannot, as an individual or as a people or as a planet, you cannot become less. Look at your economy in and of itself. Not very long ago, you were trading beads and furs. And now look, you're trading your resources of your talent and your vibration and your energy and your desires. Your desires are the calling of the economy, you see. And so it's easy to see. You get a universal mood going on. You get a few fear-mongering people. Oh, fear. Fear is the easiest thing in the world to sell, isn't it? But when you understand that that feeling of fear is you departing from who you are, when you start telling the story that aligns you, then fear won't be easy to sell for you. And when fear is not an easy sell for you, when you have knowledge of well-being that surpasses whatever petty little cycle is happening in this very small spattering of this very big universe, you hold to your knowing of the well-being and you let that be the vibrational basis of that which you are. And you thrive no matter what, and anybody who has access to you thrives too. You can tell when you've improved your story, because those who are complaining don't come to you. You're not fun. You're not fun. When you don't complain, complainers don't find you pleasant. And law of attraction doesn't match you up.
So where I was thinking I was being of service by being honest and maybe putting off some business for a few years because that might be a better time for someone to invest in real estate. Actually, I could be doing and serving a much higher purpose by changing my conversation, believing in the fact that each person has control over his own economic reality.
Precisely.
And do
here's
that
the thing.
service, and then everyone wins.
When you say I want to be honest, we say there are things of this planet that are true that you want to embrace and experience and promote, and there are things of this planet that are true that you do not want to embrace and experience and promote. Don't let the truth of something be the criteria of whether you give it your attention or not. Let the way it feels in relationship to the story that is really your story be the criteria. In other words, how it feels is what matters, not the truth of it. How it feels. You're so many of you wrapped up in being right. And we have to say, you can collect the statistics that support whatever story you want to tell. And why in the world would you want to tell a story that feels bad, that separates you from who you are? We watched Esther one morning. She laughed very hard at herself. They have controversy on how to move the big bus. Esther wants to have a nice straight place to move it. Jerry wants to make it as difficult as possible to see what they can achieve. So quite often, the big monster bus is parked somewhere. He hooks the car on while it's still in this very tight space, just for the fun of seeing if they can get out. And Esther wants to take it out into a clear space before they hook it up. So Esther turns on the engine and the rear view camera comes on, and she looks in the camera and she sees that Jerry has already hooked the car onto the bus. And she looks forward and she sees a very, very small space for her to maneuver this big bus. When the car's on it, it takes a wider turn. So she gets out and she says to Jerry, I see you have hooked the car on already. And Jerry says, yes, I paced it, and we have over 3 inches to spare. And so Esther, who looks from her point of view and sees that it looks difficult, as she's getting back behind the wheel, she's thinking to herself, I'm sure I'm right. I hope we have to unhook. And then she begins to laugh, because she realized in that moment she would rather be right than have a good experience. What you're reaching for is alignment. Alignment. Giving everything the benefit of the doubt is much more likely to help you align. To expect a happy turnout is much more likely to give you another and another and another and another and another. To know that you have good timing, to know that there are prizes to win and benefits to be received, to know that there is balance and that things will always right themselves, to know that well-being is dominant, to know that the universe will only bring those to you who are ready to play the game the way you want to play it, to understand that you are not the creator of their reality, you are the creator of your reality, and that when you tend to your reality, those that are matched to the best of you will come. You see, the only way that you could ever negatively impact another is if you've got a vibration going on of what feels good and a vibration that goes on of what feels bad, and you're not tending to the vibration so that you're feeling mostly good. So you've got a sort of mixed bag going on, because if you've got a mixed bag going on, then law of attraction's matching you up with those that hope but those who doubt, those who want but those who can't find. It isn't until you clean up your vibration that law of attraction can answer your pure signal, you see. When you are offering a pure signal, only those that are a vibrational match to the success that also matches your pure signal can come. And people who are standing back and watching you from a distance will say, what is your secret? What is it that you are doing? Why is it that you pick all the good deals? Why is it that you seem to know what to do? We should start doing what you do. And you say, it's not about my action. My timing is about my alignment. We've enjoyed this immensely. Good time for a segment of lunch. We are complete.